Members are in fine voice today. Let the doors be opened. L'on ouvre les portes. Members' statements, déclaration des députés. Honorable député de Saint-Jean.
The honourable member for Saint-Jean.
No, that was Randy. Sometimes me.
Alors,
Order, please.
member statements. Honorable député de Saint-Jean.
The honourable member for Saint-Jean.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, it is with a great deal of emotion that I rise today for the first time in this House as a Member of Parliament.
ce privilège, je le
I owe this privilege to the voters in the riding of Saint-Jean, which is the international festival, balloon festival capital, and the main town, Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, will be celebrating its 350th anniversary in 2016. I thank the people of my riding for being able to serve them once again after having been mayor and a provincial member of the National Assembly. I will work hard to make sure that their trust is well rewarded and to make sure that my two regional commitments are met, that is, to help the armed forces.
Portage Lisgar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm so proud to rise today to say thank you to the people of Portage Lisgar for electing me to a third term as their Member of Parliament. What an amazing honour to serve in this esteemed chamber and to be able to represent the values of hard work, strong families, faith and generosity that so many people in southern Manitoba espouse. This was a long, hard-fought election, and I want to pay special tribute to my children, Lucas, Delaney, and Parker, who have sacrificed so much time with their mom, but I know who are very proud of me. I love you guys so much. I also want to thank the volunteers who helped me. Special mention this time goes to my dearest friend, Debbie Angers, another Morden girl who worked alongside of me this entire election. Mr. Speaker, I will strive to continue to make the people of Portage Lisgar proud of me. I will work hard each and every day for their interests and for their good. This is my commitment. This remains my pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for New Brunswick Southwest.
Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I am pleased to stand in the House today for the first time as the representative of New Brunswick Southwest. I want to thank the constituents of NB Southwest for voting for real change and for placing their confidence in me. Our riding is vast and diverse. It stretches from the beautiful Fundy coastal islands to the farmlands of Kings County and the growing communities neighbouring St. John and Fredericton. The people of this riding are proud, entrepreneurial, and hopeful. NB Southwest is rich with natural resources. Our 5 border crossings with the state of Maine, the international port at Bayside, our world-renowned scientific research will further grow our fisheries, agricultural, and natural resource exports. As part of this government, I look forward to bringing my experience as an international trade professional to the table to create an environment where NB Southwest businesses, communities, and families will thrive. Thank you.
Madame député de Jonquière.
The honourable member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, as the holiday season approaches, I want to talk about the values that bring us together and that define my riding of Jonquière. Over the last few weeks, hundreds of people have been fundraising from those around them to help those in financial difficulty be able to celebrate the holiday season. The media fundraising day actually raised $223,000. So congratulations to all the volunteers. This is an example of our values of sharing, generosity, and dignity. We are inclusive and open to the world. We are stronger together. We are proud that our people have given me their trust once again to represent them and we know how much the volunteers bring to our community, and it is in that spirit that I wish everyone the very best for the season. The Honourable Member for Shefford.
The Shefford.
The Honourable Member for Shefford. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is an honour for me to speak for the first time here in the House. I want to thank the people of Shefford for giving me their trust, and it is with dedication that I will represent them here in the Commons. The town of Granby is one of the 13 locations in Quebec that will be bringing in Syrian refugees. I want to recognize Solidarité Ethnique Régionale, la Yamaska, which is doing an excellent job of has done since 1992 in helping immigrants. I want to proudly pay tribute to the generosity of the people and the excellent work done by people who reach out to those who are new. This community spirit confirms the multicultural values of our region. The enthusiasm of people has been recognized also by Radio Canada, and you can watch the program.
Mr. Speaker, it is an honor to rise today to talk about an amazing organization in my riding. Communities for Veterans has a mission to bring our communities together by connecting our veterans with our communities. The face of our veterans has changed, and the challenges they face on their return home are complex. We're only now just beginning to understand the real meaning of the term post-traumatic stress disorder. Setting out on horseback last April from Quesnel, British Columbia, Paul and Terry Nichols made it their goal to change the face of Canada's veterans. Joined by over 250 veterans and others across Canada, their mission was focused on those in our communities. But along the way, the journey also transformed Paul and Terry's lives. They have seen firsthand how equine therapy is helping our veterans and others suffering from PTSD. Mr. Speaker, it is constituents like Paul and Terry that make me so proud to serve the riding of Cariboo Prince George. Thank you for this time, and to Paul and Terry, thank you for taking these bold steps forward.
The honourable member from Mississauga Centre.
Mr. Speaker, as I rise for the first time in this noble House, I would like to take this opportunity and thank the voters of Mississauga Centre for putting their trust in me and to renew my commitment to serving all of them with pride. Today I'm honoured to rise in the House to recognize Mississauga Centre's Rick Hansen Secondary School for their fundraising initiative called Hansen's Home for Syria. The students and staff at Rick Hansen are raising funds to sponsor and provide settlement assistance to a Syrian refugee family. In collaboration with Lifeline Syria, they will be offering a family shelter and an opportunity for a better life. The Rick Hansen community is demonstrating to us the true nature of their generosity and compassion. It's heartwarming, inspiring, and quintessentially Canadian. I call on my colleagues to join me in congratulating Rick Hansen for setting a wonderful example for all Canadians and offer our full support for their humanitarian project. Well done, Rick Hansen.
The honourable member for Mission, Matsqui, Fraser Canyon.
Mr. Speaker, it's my honour and privilege to rise in the House for the first time to express my gratitude to my constituents in the riding of Mission, Matsqui, Fraser Canyon for putting their trust in me to represent them as their Member of Parliament in Ottawa. I have the distinct pleasure to represent several diverse communities, and I look forward working together to champion the need of my constituents. As a member of Canada's new government, I'm committed to working with the Indigenous people to ensure that they will play an important role in shaping up the future in my riding. Mr. Speaker, I am strongly supportive of the initiative our government has shown to take immediate action on an inquiry into missing Aboriginal women and girls. This is the first step to bring in fairness and justice to affected families and communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, as we kick off this 42nd Parliament, I want to thank the great people of Selkirk Interlake Eastman for putting their trust in me. As you know, Mr. Speaker, I've been privileged to represent the people of Selkirk Interlake for the past 11 years. However, in this election, the boundaries changed for our riding. I now also represent the Eastman region of Manitoba. It is an honour to represent these wonderful constituents, and I'm looking forward to serving their beautiful communities along the Winnipeg River system. I'm also thankful for the love and support of my family. My wife and daughters have stood by me for the past 11 years and through 5 elections. To Kelly, Courtney, Taylor, and Cassidy, I love you more than love. I'd also like to thank my incredible campaign team and volunteers who worked so hard. This past weekend, we thanked our supporters with an Appreciation Conservative Christmas party. Christmas is a special time of year when we gather as family and friends to celebrate the birth of Jesus. I offer everyone my best wishes for peace and goodwill this holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all the best in the new year.
Now the member for Malpeque.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to pay tribute to Don Cudmore for his outstanding contribution to the tourism industry of Prince Edward Island. Executive Director of the Tourism Industry Association since 1996, he has provided leadership to an active membership with roles in lobbying, education, and awareness. Through TIPI, he has been instrumental in improving educational opportunities for tourism operators and employees, and nationally raising awareness of the industry with the public. In 2010, the Tourism Industry Association of Canada recognized Don's dedication in making tourism an important part of his life's work by inducting him into the Tourism Hall of Fame. Last week, he was honoured with the 2015 Canadian Tourism Lifetime Achievement Award. Residing in Cornwall, PEI with his wife Diana, they have 2 growing children, Dana and Jolene. We wish him all the best in his retirement.
Bravo! The honourable member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, as you know, Canadians right across Canada have been mobilizing, organizing, raising funds to sponsor and welcome Syrian families to our fair land. And the youth of our country have not surprisingly also stepped up to do their part. Millennium Kids, a movement of youth across Canada working to do their part to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals, have launched a Welcome Card project. The Welcome Card project invites children and youth across Canada to create handmade welcome cards to greet the thousands of expected Syrian newcomer refugees in the coming days, weeks, and months. 26 Canadian schools from Ontario, Quebec, Saskatchewan, and PEI are participating in this project. And today, I am pleased, Mr. Speaker, to let you know that we have 40 grade school children from 14 schools across Toronto, many from my riding of Davenport, to present 1,700 cards to the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration. Many of the youth here are attending schools that are sponsoring refugee families. I would like to welcome them to the House of Commons and to applaud them for their leadership and amazing work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now the member The honourable member for Barrie Innisfil.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for allowing me to speak. It's my first time in the House, and I want to thank the residents of Barrie Innisfil. Mr. Speaker, the failed energy policies of Kathleen Wynne and the Ontario Liberals continue to overwhelm consumers, seniors, and devastate business in my home province. The 2015 Auditor General report is a laundry list of mismanagement. The report details that incompetence has unnecessarily cost ratepayers billions of dollars, how the costs of failing transmission and distribution systems keep increasing, and how Ontario's residential and small business consumers have had to absorb a whopping 80% increase in their electricity bills. There's been a lack of an energy plan for the citizens of Ontario, and the federal government and the Prime Minister also lack a clear energy plan for Canadians. The Conservative Party has always ensured that the cost to taxpayers were kept low, and Ontario is a stark reminder of how easily things can get out of hand when a Liberal government drops the ball. We'll continue to hold the Liberals accountable so that what happens...
The honourable member for St. John Rothsay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are many reasons, Mr. Speaker, to be proud of my riding, St. John Rothsay. It is a riding of great success, but also a riding with many in need. Chronic generational poverty, Mr. Speaker, is a drain on the lifeblood of our city. 31% of our children live in poverty. That is #1 in the country. I respectfully ask the Prime Minister and the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development and all of my colleagues to choose our city as the model for Canadian poverty reduction strategy. Why St. John, Mr. Speaker? we are the most vulnerable population in the country, children living in poverty. Our city size and demographic makes St. John an excellent test case for a national strategy. We are ready. We have the cooperation on all levels of government, a strong network of community and business organizations, all committed to ending poverty and especially child poverty in St. John. For these reasons, Mr. Speaker, I ask you to choose St. John as the model city for the Canadian Poverty Reduction Strategy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I first want to thank the people of Abitibi-Témiscamingue for re-electing me. When we elected the Speaker of the House, all the candidates stressed the importance of doing better in terms of work-family balance. As a new mother of a 3-month-old baby, I couldn't agree more. But today, I want to make a wish, which is that we shouldn't simply do better. I would like us to take the next 4 years to become leaders when it comes to work-life balance. I want us to be a great example for other legislatures and Canadian companies. I hope that we can build a world where women and new parents will not have to choose between career and family. Having a baby is already stressful, even though it can be a joy full-time, and it is important to make sure that we build bridges between work and family rather than more difficulties.
The honourable member for Peace River Westlock.
Mr. Speaker, I am proud to stand in this place for the first time to represent the hard-working riding of Peace River Westlock. I would like to thank my constituents for the honor they have bestowed on me to represent them in Ottawa. Peace River Westlock is built on the foundation of farming. Over the course of the last 150 years, farmers have worked hard in my riding to feed Canadians every day. Yet farming nor agriculture was not even mentioned once in the Liberals' throne speech. Mr. Speaker, there are 200,000 farmers across Canada, and they work to provide us with vegetables, grain, dairy, meats sold locally and around the world. They need a government that will stand up to them, for them, value them, and invest in their future. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you that my Conservative colleagues and I will stand up for rural Canada and the agricultural industry.
The honourable member for London West.
Mr. Speaker, this is my first time to stand in the House, and I would like to thank the people of London West for allowing me to represent them in this noble place. Congratulate the London Abused Women's Centre for another successful Shine the Light on Women Abuse campaign for the month of November. Mr. Speaker, the goal of the campaign is to raise awareness of violence against women. Local businesses, schools and homes were encouraged to decorate with the color purple in the month of November, purple being a symbol of courage, survival and honour. The London Abused Women's Centre is a beacon of hope for many women who are struggling to find their way after being abused, most often by their male partners. Mr. Speaker, I encourage my fellow parliamentarians to shine the light on women abuse in their own municipalities next November. The London Abused Women's Centre would be happy to provide other communities with information on how to shine the light. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions orales, oral questions. The honourable leader of the official opposition.
Mr. Speaker, during the election, the Liberal Party made a vague promise to change our election system. A change in how Canadians vote is a fundamental change to our democracy. Will the Prime Minister hold a referendum and give all Canadians a say in this? The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Many Canadians frustrated with how the electoral system disengages, rewards cynicism, rewards distance, which is why we have committed to engage with Canadians in strong consultations to talk about the kind of country, the kind of electoral system that we need in this country to better reflect the concerns and priorities of Canadians, and we will engage, as promised, in broad consultations with Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, when you change the rules of democracy, everyone gets a say. Mr. Speaker, 60% of Canadians did not vote for the Liberal Party. These millions and millions of Canadians, as the Prime Minister said, he left in the dust, get to have a say too. Does the Prime Minister only listen to Canadians that voted for Liberals, or will he govern for all Canadians and hold a referendum?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's wonderful to see that the member opposite suddenly discovered that consulting Canadians is appropriate, because she certainly didn't do that during the Fair Elections Act. The so-called Fair Elections Act. We have committed to engage substantively with Canadians, but we are also very, very clear that we will implement what we promised to do during the election campaign. Canadians made themselves heard very clearly, and they want to be part of a change in government. That's what we're going to bring forward. Merci.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister should be very careful in assuming that his election victory gives him a mandate and entitles him to make a change in the election system and our democracy. When the Prime Minister actually has a clear proposal for a new voting system, will he take it to the people and hold a referendum?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Canadians were very, very clear that they were tired of the approach over many years of this former government refusing to listen, refusing to engage, disrespecting democracy, disrespecting the voice of Canadians. That's exactly what we're going to do, to engage with Canadians to make...
Hello.
Order.
Order. It's hard to hear the answers. I know all members want to hear the questions and the answers, and I know we're all anxious to show respect for each other and show Canadians we want a good atmosphere in this place. I know it's Wednesday.
The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the history of this country teaches that whenever a government wants to change the foundations of our democracy, you have to consult Canadians, and a majority has to agree. I know the Liberals agree with that. Currently, the government, with just a few words in their platform and less than 27% of Canadian support, they want to change things. Can the Prime Minister commit to holding a referendum and consulting Canadians on this? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's quite clear that what's important is to consult and respect Canadians' opinions, and that's what we'll do. And that's what led up to the repatriation of the Constitution in '82 without a referendum, for example. We are able to consult, make the right choices in the right way. We will continue to consult Canadians and present an election system that works for all Canadians. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, we're going to stick to this subject, but we know that this will come up again. I understand what the Prime Minister is saying, and I'm hardly surprised, because in June, his advisors had already decided not to hold a referendum on this significant change. Can the Prime Minister confirm that he's going to make this important decision alone, with only a few advisors who are unaccountable and unelected, rather than holding a referendum and consulting all Canadians? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. What we've been clear about, and we continue to be clear about, is that we will consult all Canadians, beginning with elected officials here in the House of Commons, in coming up with electoral reform that works for the entire country. We're going to do this properly, and we're going to respect what Canadians have to say, not what the Conservatives have to say. The honourable member for Outremont.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal Party's tax cut is leaving out millions of Canadians. The Prime Minister's parliamentary secretary, who earns $184,000 a year, will get the maximum tax cut. A single senior earning $30,000 a year, not 1 cent. The NDP put forward a proposal to give the tax break to the first level of income earners in Canada. That would have helped millions of more Canadians. Why did the Prime Minister vote against helping the most needy?
Right Honourable the Prime Minister.
The Liberal Party is proud of the throne speech that the Governor-General read last week, and that's why we're supporting that throne speech, and we encourage all members in this House to do that, because it is the reflection of what Canadians asked for right across the country. Investments in our future and in our communities, help for the middle class by lowering taxes on the middle class and raising them for the wealthiest 1%. It's what Canadians have asked us collectively to do, and it's what we're going to do, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Outremont.
The Prime Minister knows full well that his so-called middle-class tax cut is actually excluding 70% of Canadians. That's not a middle-class tax cut. It gives the maximum benefit to an executive earning $190,000 a year, though. So the real question is, why are the most needy in Canada left off his Christmas list? Why do they get a lump of coal when he gives the maximum benefit to CEOs?
Right Honourable the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are raising taxes on the wealthiest 1% so that we can lower them for the middle class. It was in our platform. It was what we put forward. Now, the member opposite did not choose to raise taxes on the wealthiest 1% in his electoral platform. He did not choose to lower taxes on the middle class in his electoral platform. We made that commitment, and that's exactly what we're doing, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Outremont.
Actually, what they're doing, Mr. Speaker, is giving a tax break to people who earn $200,000 a year and leaving out a family with 2 kids earning 45 grand. They're the middle class. They're the ones who should have gotten help. The rest is a chimera.
I'm going to read a quote to the Prime Minister. He said that the Liberals would commit to restoring door-to-door delivery by Canada Post. Yesterday, he said, "See my website for details." It's not the website that was elected. He's the one who was elected. He was elected to restore door-to-door delivery. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Canadians expect to get high-quality service at a reasonable price, and that's what we've committed to do. We've put a moratorium on the installation of community mailboxes by the Conservative government, and we're going to work with Canadians and Canada Post, with various organizations and groups, to make sure Canadians get the postal service they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Outremont.
The honourable member for Outremont. His promise was to restore door-to-door delivery, and he's currently breaking his word. Let's look at another one of his promises. And I quote the Liberal leader again. He promised at the Montreal Chamber of Commerce to immediately restore the tax credit for Labour-sponsored funds. He promised to restore it fully and immediately. But instead of restoring it on January 1st, he's going to reduce it further. Why, once again, has he broken his word? The Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I understand that the members of the opposition are frustrated because there wasn't enough detail in the throne speech. But the fact is, not only did we have the throne speech, we also published all the terms of reference given to our ministers and spelling out our priorities, including restoring the tax credit for Labour-sponsored funds. That was in our finance minister's terms of reference.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance knows that they made a commitment for a $10 billion deficit cap, and finance officials, and we also know that the deficit's going to be higher. That's a broken promise.
Already.
Mr. Speaker, the finance minister has not answered my question in the House to date, although I have hopes for the rest of the week, of how big a deficit will he run?
Now the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we find ourselves in a more challenging situation than we expected. We were left with a deficit that we now need to deal with. Our plan for investing in Canada is now more important than ever. We made a commitment to invest in infrastructure. We made a commitment to reduce our net debt to GDP over time. We are going to do this in a fiscally responsible, prudent, and transparent way for Canadians to understand our plan.
Now that all members are interested in hearing the answers, including the member for Peace River Mackenzie, I believe it is. I'm sure he wants to hear, so we're all going to listen carefully to the honourable member from Milton.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. We'd like to get some answers as well. They're just not coming.
Hey, that's a good point.
Mr. Speaker, another promise that was made, of course, was that in the Liberal tax plan that it would be revenue neutral. And, of course, we now know that it's not revenue neutral. It's $1.2 billion shortfall. But lo and behold, the Minister of Finance is going to fill that gap by taxing small businesses, the veterinarians, the chiropractors, the doctors, the dentists, and seniors through the TFSA. Now, my question, Mr. Speaker, is this. What other taxes will he continue to raise as he goes down this long road of long-term structural deficits?
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, our plan is focused on tax measures that will help the broadest cross-section of Canadians to do well. In a challenging economic situation, reducing taxes for the middle class, putting more money in their pockets is absolutely the right thing to do now more than ever. We are on a plan to be prudent and fiscally responsible, but to help the broadest cross-section of Canadians with tax measures that will help them.
The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, according to Monroe Shippold, the finance minister's old firm, a TFSA is an intelligent way to help seniors provide for stable retirement income. Now the finance minister wants to reduce the ceiling for TFSAs. He's rejecting the advice of his own professionals by penalizing seniors. How can the minister penalize seniors and not follow the advice of his own firm, the Honourable Finance Minister?
Mr. Speaker, as I said, we are focused on helping the broadest cross-section of Canadians. The Canadians that used the maximum, that were eligible for the maximum of the TFSA, were 6.7%. That means 93.3% were unable to use the maximum. We will move forward with our tax cut for the middle class that will help a broad cross-section of Canadians and introduce a Canada Child benefit that will help 9 out of 10 families to do better.
The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister announced during the election campaign that a lot of small businesses were just tax havens for wealthy Canadians. On the contrary, Mr. Speaker, small businesses and entrepreneurs are wealth creators, and we should glorify them and support them, not penalize them with higher taxes. Can the Minister for Small Business, is he going to do the same thing as his leader and penalize small business and entrepreneurs, or is he going to stick to his terms of reference, which includes helping small business? Mr. Speaker, that's an important question.
As we pursue our initiatives, we will, with each and every one of them, look at how they can grow the economy. We will be focused on trying to help businesses, large and small, to pursue the opportunity for growth across our economy. Our investments will make an enormous difference in productivity, and they will help all businesses to succeed.
The member for Brantford Brant.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals promised Canadians a revenue-neutral tax cut, made possible by taxing high earners. But just 3 days into this Parliament, the Finance Minister admitted that they got the math completely wrong. Promise made, promise broken. Will the finance minister make up for his $1.2 billion shortfall by raising taxes, or does he plan to tack another $1.2 billion onto the structural deficit he's building?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we find ourselves with an economic situation that was not what we expected when we came into power. In facing up to a challenging economic time, we want to do the right thing. We are going to start by reducing taxes. This is an especially good week for those Canadians that realize that they are going to get a tax advantage with our reduction in taxes for the middle class.
The Honourable Member for Brantford Brant.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that was a pretty straightforward question, and I believe the Finance Minister owes Canadians a straightforward answer. The Liberals came to this Parliament with just two policies to implement before Christmas: the refugee plan and their tax plan. And in both cases, they completely miscalculated the cost to taxpayers. Having already dug themselves into a hole, the Liberals are now refusing to acknowledge their promise to hold the deficit to $10 billion. How high are they prepared to go?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we found ourselves in a hole not of our own. We are now setting out to help Canadians to engineer growth. We are going to make investments in our economy that will make a difference. We're going to reduce taxes for the middle class, and we are going to help those struggling to do well by introducing benefits that will help them as well in our budget in 2016.
The Honourable Member for Salaberry-sur-Loire. Mr. Speaker, on the election trail, the Liberals promised to bring back a tough environmental assessment process that would include the impact on greenhouse gases. They also said they would reform the NEB. They clearly rejected the Conservatives' eviscerated process, but on Monday the Prime Minister wouldn't say when the process would be revised and whether current projects would be subject to it. So, can the government tell us, yes or no, whether projects currently under review will proceed under a real, genuine environmental assessment process?
Sources.
Mr. Speaker, for those projects that are currently under review, the proponents will not be asked to go back to square one. There will be a transition period, Mr. Speaker, that will embody the principles that were in the campaign platform and in the Prime Minister's mandate to me and the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change. It'll be transparent and it will involve consultation with Indigenous communities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for New Westminster Burnaby.
Now, that's not what they said during the campaign, Mr. Speaker.
Right.
Now, we know the environmental assessment process that was gutted by the Conservatives is in desperate need of a revamp. And in the meantime, we see these pipeline projects like Kinder Morgan moving forward under a weakened system. During the election, the new Liberal member for Burnaby North Seymour told the Burnaby Now, and I quote, "Kinder Morgan will have to go through a new revised process before it's approved."
There you go.
The question was very simple. Why did they tell British Columbians something different from what they're telling them today?
Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, we are going to modernize the National Energy Board. And what that means is that it will be reflective of regional difference representing the entire country. It will embody into its work respect for Indigenous communities and Indigenous culture, and we have to restore public confidence in the regulatory process so we can move our resources to market responsibly and sustainably.
The Honourable Member for Elgin, Middlesex, London.
Mr. Speaker, this government says one thing and does another. For the last year, the Prime Minister said he did not need taxpayer childcare. As a mother of 5, I'm offended. For the first tax of his cabinet was to give himself childcare benefits that no other Canadians have. Why didn't the Prime Minister keep his word? And is it because he's entitled to his entitlements?
When Honourable the Prime Minister.
It won't surprise people to know that we have different family requirements than the previous occupants of the Prime Minister's office. We will maintain the existing budget at the same level and reformulate it as necessary for the needs of my young family.
The honourable member for Montmagny, Lillet, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup. Mr. Speaker, yet another example of the Prime Minister saying one thing and doing the opposite. The Prime Minister loves to talk about transparency, but when he appointed the new Speaker of the Senate, he did it without any consultation. He appointed a Speaker who can't even speak both official languages. Mr. Speaker, was it more important to appoint a crony of the Liberal leader rather than appointing a bilingual Speaker to the bilingual Senate? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, we appointed a Speaker to preside over the Senate. He's a person of great integrity. It's the first time we've had a Speaker from Newfoundland and Labrador. The current Senator, who is now Speaker, has served with honour and distinction, and he was a whistleblower about the abuse in the Senate a few years ago, and we're very proud of his appointment. The Honourable Member for Montmagny. Mr. Speaker, since early in the week, the Prime Minister has been talking about his election platform. On page 34, it says the status quo is not an option, and things have to change. The Senate has to change. The Liberals announced that a committee of 5 people appointed by the Prime Minister would make recommendations to the Prime Minister on future appointments of senators. Mr. Speaker, will the Conservatives undertake a genuine reform to the Senate and stop the status quo?
The Honourable Minister of Democratic Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, for the first time, we are offering the provinces and territories an open door to be part of this nonpartisan, merit-based appointment process. For the first time, we've published the criteria upon which the advisory board will be assessing the merit of these new senators, and we are confident that this process will restore the confidence of Canadians in this vital institution of our democratic process.
Honourable Member for Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on December 2nd, the Minister of Finance sent out a fundraising email in his official capacity. Now, this is a clear violation of the Guide of Conduct for Ministers, which states, and I quote, "Ministers should ensure that fundraising communications issued on their behalf do not suggest any connection between fundraising and official government business." Mr. Speaker, this is just yet another example of this government saying one thing but doing another. How is this Prime Minister planning to hold his Finance Minister accountable for this ethical breach?
Hear, hear. Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we intend on consulting Canadians in all of our activities over the course of our mandate. In this particular case, we decided that this particular consultation was one that we did not want to pursue, so we cancelled it.
The member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
Mr. Speaker, on the campaign trail, the Liberal government promised to immediately boost the guaranteed income supplement by 10% to help low-income seniors struggling on fixed incomes to make ends meet. But since being elected, there's been no sign of a timeline, and with mounting examples of backtracking on other promises, seniors are getting worried and wondering if the government understands that immediate needs require immediate attention. When will the government implement its promise to lift seniors out of poverty?
Minister for Social Development.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the first opportunity that I have to rise in this honourable place. I'd like to thank the electors of Quebec for having elected me and for giving me this opportunity to participate in the great work ahead of us. I'd like to answer the excellent question put forth by my colleague opposite. I thank him for the question. And I'd like to say that we are going to do things responsibly and as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Hamilton Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, with U.S. Steel Canada filing for bankruptcy protection,
the pensions and health benefits of 20,000 workers and pensioners are in jeopardy. The previous government rubber-stamped the takeover, then signed a secret deal to let the company off the hook for broken promises. During the election campaign, the new government promised they would release the details and hold the company accountable for all the promises to workers and pensioners. When will the government live up to its rhetoric, open up the secret deal, and stand up for workers' pensions?
The Minister of Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member opposite for the question, as he knows that the content is confidential. We cannot unilaterally disclose it, but I would welcome and support a decision by U.S. Steel to disclose the terms of the settlement in the spirit of openness and transparency in the example set by a Prime Minister. And I would also like to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to thank the members from Hamilton on this side of the House who have also raised this issue with me as well.
Now the member for York South-Weston.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians from across the country have joined together to help Syrian refugees come to Canada and begin a new life. This is something that we can all be proud of. I know that in my riding of York South-Weston, we look forward to welcoming these new Canadian residents. As someone who represents a riding with many, many Canadians who were once refugees, could the Prime Minister please update this august House on this important national effort?
The Honourable the Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the member from York South-Western and congratulate him on his election to this House. Resettling refugees demonstrates our commitment to Canadians and to the world, that Canada understands that we can and must do more. And I am pleased to announce to this House that the first plane carrying Syrian refugees will be arriving in Toronto tomorrow evening at 9:15 p.m. and the second plane will arrive in Montreal on Saturday. Le premier avion apportant des réfugiés.
The first aircraft will arrive in Toronto tomorrow evening at 9:15, and the second will arrive on Saturday. It will be a great day.
Now the member for Red Deer Lacombe.
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's not just the finance minister who's using his position inappropriately. Now we know at least 4 other ministers are using their positions to fundraise for the Liberal Party. Oh. Airfare, hotel rooms, and access to ministers are being offered at an event this evening in return for generous donations to the Liberal Party.
That's shocking.
Will the Prime Minister put an immediate stop to this practice of selling access to his ministers?
Wow. Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The event referred to this evening is the Liberal Caucus Christmas Party. I know many people are looking forward to that event from across the country. Mr. Speaker, we're certainly hoping that you'll be able to attend, as I understand you have with other caucus Christmas parties as well. The important thing to note is the particular contest the member referred to did not require a donation, in fact, to enter the contest, and we're hopeful that many people will look forward to a very good evening tonight.
And the member for Red Deer Lacombe.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the government cannot just excuse this kind of improper behavior. They're selling access to Christmas, so it would seem. The rules are actually very clear. Ministers are not allowed to use their positions for partisan purposes. But the Environment Minister has also used her position to recruit support for the Liberal Party. Now, this government left Canadians with the impression that they would do things differently. Can the Environment Minister assure Canadians that this will never happen again? Do we need to be your conscience all the time?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member referred to doing things differently. That's exactly what this government is doing. We're doing things in a more open and transparent way. Mr. Speaker, we're following all of the required rules with respect to fundraising, and people should understand that these events are normal events where Canadians have a chance to interact with all kinds of people who share public policy views, and we're proud to be interacting with Canadians at so many events across the country.
Member for Peace River Mackenzie have a problem? I'm glad he doesn't then. What's your writing? We'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it.
The honourable member for Beauport-Limoilou. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, there's more. Last November 11th, the Minister of Veterans Affairs sent an email using his title as Minister to raise funds for the Liberal Party. Not only did he use it inappropriately on on Remembrance Day, it was a violation of his Prime Minister's rules put forth for Cabinet. Does the Prime Minister not think that it's inappropriate for the Minister to use Remembrance Day and Veterans to promote the Liberal Party?
We're very proud of the work done by our Minister of Veterans Affairs. He's serving Canadians in an exemplary way. And I find it a little rich that somebody from across the aisle would be talking about using government resources for partisan purposes. One of the reasons why we're on this side of the aisle is because people got tired of that continued abuse of government resources.
Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Mr. Speaker, the problem doesn't stop there. On the contrary, because the problem comes from the top. The Prime Minister is now promoting a lottery, the Liberal lottery. People buy a ticket in order to get an opportunity to meet him in private and the members of his cabinet. That is unacceptable. It is unethical.
Can someone accept that situation? It's unethical, it's inappropriate. Can the Prime Minister assure the Canadian that he will reimburse the lottery money?
Can the Prime Minister reassure Canadians that he will reimburse Canadians for that money taken in such an inappropriate way? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. The Liberal Party continues to hope and open events across the country. This evening, we will be having our Christmas party with 2,500 people from across the country. The reality is that to win that competition, there was no requirement to spend any money. There's nothing to be reimbursed. It's an example of being open and inviting people to come and celebrate the holidays with us. You are welcome as well if you'd like to come.
I thank the Honourable Member for Grand Prairie Mackenzie for listening that time. The Honourable Member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, Transport Canada is investigating allegations that 57 rail cars were left parked on a mountain slope outside Revelstoke, BC, without proper handbrakes. After what we've learned from the Lac-Mégantic disaster, it's unbelievable that another train loaded with dangerous cargo may have been left unattended and another community put at risk. The Transportation Safety Board is reporting increased incidents of derailments, runaway trains, and violations of rail safety rules. Will this government get serious and enforce safety rules to prevent more rail disasters?
Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the member from Edmonton Strathcona for her very valid question. We in this government care deeply about rail safety, especially after the tragic events of Lac-Mégantic, and I can assure you that we are looking into this at the moment. In fact, Transport Canada officials are specifically looking at this case, and we will report back when we have the final verdict. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Sherbrooke. Despite the unanimous support of this House for a motion that I tabled in the last session, the issue of non-designated airports has not been resolved. Let's talk about the Sherbrooke Airport. Can the Minister of Transport tell us where the situation is with respect to a mechanism that non-designated airports are waiting for that will enable them to sign agreements with air carriers, Mr. Speaker? Thank you.
Paul.
Minister of Transport. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. In fact, there are 89 designated airports in Canada where security is provided by Transport Canada. We have put in place, or in fact the government, previous government put in place a mechanism to cover non-designated airports to give them access to the same safety system on a cost recovery basis. I know that the Sherbrooke Airport is included in the 6 that have applied for that. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Portage-Lisgar.
Mr. Speaker, we know that tens of thousands of jobs are being lost in the energy sector because of low oil prices, because of overregulation, because of carbon taxes, and now there's more uncertainty from this Liberal government when it comes to pipelines. When the Prime Minister is in one part of the country, he supports Energy East. When he's in another part, he doesn't. For the sake of good jobs, would the Prime Minister tell Canadians today, does he support the Energy East pipeline?
Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
perhaps we should review the success of those on the other side of the House of getting pipelines built, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have already been in Alberta, and I have seen the results of this very low spot in the commodity cycle. And while the prices are low, Mr. Speaker, we will be modernizing the National Energy Board so when pipelines are built, they will have the confidence of Canadians.
The honourable member for Caribou, Prince George.
Mr. Speaker, this government is all over the map when it comes to the energy sector. Sadly, not the Western Canadian map. Everything this government says contradicts their claims to be committed to a science-based policy and fair processes. In October, the parliamentary secretary to the president of the Treasury Board stated, and I quote, "Pipelines are not going to be necessary because of their policies." Mr. Speaker, which member of this government will stand up and explain to Canadians why they're opposed to resource development, the lifeblood of the economies of rural Canada and the economy of Canada?
Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, 20% of the GNP of Canada rests in the natural resource sector. We are serious about moving those resources in a responsible way to export markets. And we'll do it in a way that's going to have the public confidence of Canadians. And we're going to do it by consulting Indigenous communities as well, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Edmonton Riverbend.
Mr. Speaker, oil prices continue to decline and jobs in my province and the Canadian energy sector are being lost. Yet this Liberal government is abandoning the global consensus on temperature targets. Instead, they are supporting a radical environmental policy that will kill even more jobs. Even the Alberta NDP had to pause briefly on their attack on farmers to comment that this decision is extreme and will displace emissions and chase good Canadian jobs to other parts of the world. Why will this government not listen to Canadians and their mission to destroy our energy industry and the jobs that go with it?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, commodity prices are at an historic low. We are going to take advantage of this moment to look at the regulatory process. We are going to ensure that our resources get to international markets sustainably, and we care as much about those who are suffering from where we are in the cycle as anybody else in this chamber, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Sydney, Victoria.
Mr. Speaker, it's just been revealed that my riding of Sydney, Victoria has the highest child poverty rate in Canada at 35%. And under the age of 6, it's 43%. This is unacceptable when our children are living in one of the wealthiest countries in the world. So my question is to the Minister of Finance. What will this government do to help these kids in Cape Breton and other kids in poverty around the country?
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member from Sydney, Victoria. Poverty and inequality are not just problems for those individual Canadians. All of Canada is affected. I've seen it like the honourable member as I've gone door to door. That's why we have a plan to lift hundreds of thousands of Canadian children out of poverty. L'allocation canadienne pour enfants.
The Canada Child Benefit will improve the situation for 9 families out of 10. With the investment in infrastructure, social infrastructure and affordable housing, we are going to fight poverty in Sydney, Victoria, Toronto Centre and across the country.
Niagara West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister recently announced that he would add $2.65 billion to the ever-increasing deficit to go towards international climate change funding in developing countries. Yet there wasn't a single mention of the spending promise during the campaign. Could the Minister of Development confirm if this commitment is in addition to the $1.2 billion that our Conservative government had committed? And where will this money come from? And will it come at the expense of those most vulnerable in developing countries?
The Honourable Minister of International Development. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
First question. Effectivement, changement climatique.
Climate change is a global issue that is affecting all countries and all people, but specifically countries that are developing in the poorest countries. Canada has committed to put $2.6 billion in the years to come to help countries affected, and the majority of them will be developing countries. Official development assistance will use very specifically designed criteria, and I could, in fact, come back with further information on the issue later once the plan has been rolled out. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Longueuil, Saint-Hubert. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by congratulating the Minister of Heritage for her appointment and offer her my cooperation. Now, the board of CBC that was appointed by the Conservatives continues to make decisions that are somewhat odd. They are now abandoning their accommodations, and this is in fact something that lacks transparency and even will affect their production capacity. Will the government give the green light to Radio Canada on this initiative? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Heritage. Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague opposite for his excellent question. Now, as you know, as Minister of Canadian Heritage, it's my obligation to ensure that there's arm's length the distance between Radio-Canada CBC and the Department of Canadian Heritage. Now, having said that, in my letter of mandate, it's my obligation to ensure or to review, in fact, the appointment process for the board, and I will ensure my colleague opposite and all colleagues that we will review the new process, and it will be put in place, of course, if everyone accepts it in the months to come. Thank you.
Thunder Bay, Rainy River.
Mr. Speaker, November 25th marked the first day of 16 days of activism against gender violence. During these 16 days, we are reminded that violence continues to be a reality for far too many women and girls in Canada. As a former prosecutor, I've seen firsthand the effects of gender-based violence. Living a life free of violence is a basic human right, one that all Canadian women should expect. Can the Minister of Status of Women tell us what steps the government is taking to be a part of the solution to ending gender violence?
The Honourable Minister for the Status of Women.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleague, the Member of Parliament for Thunder Bay, Rainy River. My experience has shown me that many different factors go into the woman's vulnerability to experiencing violence. Things like home, socioeconomic background, age, vulnerability due to disability. So violence against women is not acceptable, and it should never be tolerated in our society. And that's why I'm very pleased to announce that in the coming weeks, I'll be working on creating a federal violence strategy, anti-violence strategy with my provincial and territorial partners across the country. Really looking forward to getting started on this very important file. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston.
Mr. Speaker, last June the Prime Minister offered this rationale for opposing a referendum. Quote, electoral reform has a lot of trouble getting through plebiscites. Well, no kidding. In 2007, only 37% of Ontarians supported MMP. How much better if we hadn't let that silly referendum prejudice the outcome of Ontario's electoral reform process. Now, fast forward to last October, and the federal Liberals won only 39% of the vote. So how exactly does 39% of the vote in an election constitute a better, clearer mandate for a specific form of electoral reform than 51% in a referendum?
Honourable Minister of Democratic Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, for the first time in 10 years, Canadians are being listened to. Canadians voted for change, and they voted for a change in our electoral process. We will be delivering on that commitment. I'll be working with the government House Leader to convene an all-party parliamentary committee to review the various electoral reform options available to us.
The Honourable Member for Pierre-Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères. Mr. Speaker, on the 20th of February at the Montreal Chamber of Commerce, the Prime Minister promised that a Liberal government would immediately restore tax credits for Labour-sponsored funds in full. He repeated that throughout the campaign. These are an important economic tool. They're very much appreciated in Quebec. However, even if the mandate letter for the Minister of Finance calls upon him to restore these credits, and he says he wants to consult the Minister, well, in fact, when would the Minister take action on this important issue? The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Monsieur le Président,
Mr. Speaker, it is our intention to respect our commitment with respect to tax credits for contributions to Labour-sponsored funds. The government is committed to achieve the priorities in its plan, including tax measures. Our priority, our immediate priority, is to give a tax cut to middle-class Canadians as of January 1st, 2016, and that's why today the government will be moving forward with legislative measures that will reduce tax rates for the middle class.
I would like to draw the attention of honourable members to the presence in the gallery of the soon-to-be Honourable Dwight Ball, Premier Designate of Newfoundland and Labrador. The Chief Government Whip.
Mr. Speaker, there have been consultations amongst the parties, and if you seek it, you should find unanimous consent for the following motion, which I would like to read in both official language out of respect for members of the House and especially the member for Ottawa-Vanier. That this House, desiring to record its deep appreciation of the distinguished and faithful service to Parliament and to Canada of the Honourable Member for Ottawa-Vanier, appoint this member honorary chair occupant on a day to be designated by the Speaker. Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House, desiring to record its deep appreciation for the distinguished and faithful service to Parliament and to Canada of the Honourable Member for Ottawa-Vanier, appoint this member honorary chair occupant on a day to be designated by the Speaker.